Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, day 4, Thursday, yeah, day 4 of padded training camp practice. We've got a lot of stuff to do today. We've got reports outside of training camp, a lot of different things happening. People surprisingly getting first team reps. There's still a battle at the center position, We've got Kolton Miller's extension to talk about, and today is also the live call-in show. If you want to have your voicemail answered on the channel or call in as a $5 patron, it is 725-253-0264. You can sign up at patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. Link is in the description below or on the pinned comment section. It's the first pinned comment. That and the Discord are down there. You can join either one. And I'm going to be answering toward the middle of the show some voicemails. We got a couple, and then if any patrons call in, I will be talking to them as well. Hit that subscribe button. We are 500 away from 14,000. Can we make this final push to get to 14,000? We're going to be talking all training camp about different things. We're going to get into the Kolton Miller of it all, like I said, but first I think we need to talk about some more training camp reports. My go-to guy is Ryan McFadden. He's an ESPN beat writer for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to be reading his article as well about Kolton Miller, but for right now, he's got some interesting tidbits, and the first thing he says down here is that Jordan Meredith is continuing to be the first-team center while JPJ starts at right guard. So when this was happening initially, I think some people wrote it off as, that's just, in case so-and-so gets hurt, you have reps with so-and-so. This is another day now where Jordan Meredith is getting starting reps at center. Could this be because he's that much better than JPJ? Yes. Another running theory is that Alex Kappa has not looked as good as Spytek and company maybe thought he would be, especially when they share their time together in Tampa Bay. So if Jordan Meredith starts at center and JPJ is at right guard, then you have Parham at left guard, and then you've got your two tackles, Miller and DJ Glaze, which means no Alex Kappa, nowhere to be seen. Now, you would think, well, why wouldn't you just play JPJ at center and Jordan Meredith at right guard? I don't know if Jordan Meredith is a more natural left guard, and they don't think that he's comfortable enough playing right guard, which means then you would have to play Alex Kappa at center and JPJ at right guard, and Jordan Meredith is better than Alex Kappa. I don't know what's going on here, but all I do know is that I trust in that coaching staff to put the best version of that offensive line out on the field. And JPJ, as a rookie center, was very good last year. And I don't think he's the type of guy to take steps back in the offseason. So if anything, this means that Jordan Meredith has just taken a step forward. And if he's the starting center for the team, again, that doesn't mean that JPJ has fallen out of the good graces. It just means that now they have him at starting right guard. A lot of offensive line talk, but it's super interesting because that was maybe not an area of concern, but a question mark going into the offseason. And now we're starting to see it shape a little bit. Maybe, again, this is just more time of Gino getting reps with Jordan Meredith in case somebody gets hurt, because that happens a lot with the offensive line, but only time will tell. One-on-one period ends with Darian Porter securing a nice interception with a toe drag inbounds. You love to see that. The more we hear about Darian Porter starting with the ones and making plays, the sky is the limit, not only for the potential of him, but for the potential of that secondary if he turns out to be a really good player. Cornerback J.T. Woods is getting reps with the ones. I do think that's just, cornerbacks go down a lot. And you need to make sure that everybody gets quality reps in with the starting first team defense. And I do think, that's... If he starts, I would say that's an area of concern. But again, maybe he's just stepping up. Who knows? They just signed him a couple weeks ago. So the fact that he's getting reps with the ones is interesting. During Red Zone 7-on-7, Geno Smith completed back-to-back touchdowns to Michael Mayer. On the first touchdown, Smith threw a ball to the back of the end zone where Mayer had a two-handed grab with Lonnie Johnson in coverage. Smith threw his third touchdown on 7-on-7. This time he connected with Brock Bowers. And I believe that's probably it. Yeah. So what this tells me, again, I've been telling you guys for a while that you have to take all these reports with a grain of salt, and you have to also make sure that you're contextualizing what you actually think we should take out of these reports. What these reports tell me is not that Michael Mayer is like better than Brock Bowers or Michael Mayer is going to be some star. What it tells me is Michael Mayer is going to be involved in the offense, and Michael Mayer is going to be back to normal. Whatever he was dealing with in the offseason, he's clearly got that under wraps. And I'm happy that he's able to move forward and contribute for this team because we need him out there. If we're going to do a lot of 12 personnel and stack the box for Ashton Genty or stack the box for a play action pass from Geno, Michael Mayer is a starting caliber tight end, in the National Football League. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's maybe not a top 10 tight end, but he's probably in the upper half of the league. And not many people can flaunt that advantage of having Brock and Mike in the game at the same time. And you can see today there will be flashes throughout the season where Michael Mayer is going to get one-on-one coverage and he's going to make a big play because all that coverage is going to Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers and maybe a Dante Thornton, right? So that is very telling that he's continually getting targets and starting with the first team, which shows you that he's going to be an integral part of the offense. And he's back, man. I know there's a lot of talk of Devin White being back. It's clear that Kolton Miller, I said Kolton Miller because I'm looking at the article right now. It's clear that Michael Mayer is back. So we're going to get into the Kolton Miller article here. Not a lot else to talk about with padded practice. We're going to talk about Kolton Miller, why John Spytek is an absolute dog. We're going to listen to some voicemails, all that good stuff. Shout out to my $5 and $10 patrons. Like I said, join the Patreon, patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. This is what the tiers look like. The link is in the description below. And like I said before, also hit that subscribe button. We're making a final push. I didn't think that 14,000 before the new league year was possible. But with the groundswell of support I've gotten with my last two videos, it's absolutely possible. And it's all up to you guys. If you are not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It does help tremendously. Okay, let's talk a little Kolton Miller. Him and the Raiders reach a 3-year, $66 million extension. This is Ryan McFadden, and this is yesterday, Wednesday. Las Vegas Raiders reached a contract extension with starting left tackle Kolton Miller on Wednesday, with sources telling ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that the deal is for 3 years, $66 million, $42.5 million guaranteed. Miller, the longest Raider tenured player, was entering the final year of his contract and a cap hit of $15.7 million. In April, he did not participate in the early stages of the team's voluntary offseason program as he sought a new deal, a source told ESPN. Eventually, Miller rejoined the team and was involved in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. In June, Miller expressed optimism about the new Raiders about the culture new Raiders head coach Pete Carroll was trying to establish in Las Vegas, and he said he hoped to be with the franchise for long term. I want to be a Raider for life. I don't want to go anywhere else, Miller said. Miller has been a reliable presence on the Raiders' offensive line throughout his career. A first-round pick in 2018. He has started 107 of the 109 career games. Last year, the 29-year-old allowed the most pressure, 65, and sacks since his rookie season in 2018. He was dealing with an injury, and the offensive line wasn't great, but something to monitor. The Raiders have spent this offseason giving contract extensions to key veterans, defensive end Max Crosby, 3 years, $106 million, quarterback Geno Smith, 2 years, $75, and punter A.J. Cole, 4 years, $15. Have received deals under the first-year general manager, John Spytek. Here's what I like about John Spytek, amongst everything else that he's done so far. He said we need to keep our homegrown talent in-house, and he's done that every step of the way. Max Crosby, you're extended. Best punter in the league, A.J. Cole, you're extended. Kolton Miller, top 10 left tackle, you're extended. I truly believe that before the season starts, we're going to get 2 more extensions. Jacoby Myers and I was going to say A.J. Cole again, and Daniel Carlson. Those 2 are happening. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. John Spytek knows exactly what Pete Carroll wants to build. It's people who want to be in the building that work exceptionally hard at their craft. A.J. Cole, Kolton Miller, Max Crosby, Geno Smith fit that bill. Some of them happen to be the best in the league at their position or in the top 5. Some of them have to be top 10, top 15-ish. But when you have players like that and you have the money to be able to do it, you need to get it done before the season starts. So it's not a Micah Parsons type question. So it's not a Trey Hendrickson type question. And John Spytek, time and time again, has proven that he knows exactly what he's doing in terms of filling the holes, which is huge. So that's all I have to say about the Kolton Miller of it all. I'm happy that he's back, and I'm happy that we have our left tackle solved, basically. If for some reason he goes down, or if for some reason he doesn't play as well, I wonder what they would do backup-wise, if it's, Caleb Rogers or Charles Grant, or if it's a right tackle move to left tackle, a DJ Glaze, if you will. I know Thayer Mumford is still on the team, so that's probably an option as well. So excited for Kolton Miller to continue to be a Las Vegas Raider. He's one of the last members that was on the Oakland Raiders. I think it's him and Max Crosby and maybe one other person. But I think those are the only two. So, yeah, man, like I said, let's get into these voicemails. A patron could call within the next 10 minutes. If they don't, that's okay. We got 4 voicemails to answer questions to. Here's that number. If you want to call in at any time and leave a message, here we go.
Hey, what's up? It's EJ, man. I'm a big Raider fan. I had a question. I need my answer of the question. What position, offense or defense, are you more concerned about? Like, what we need, like, immediate help from? Like, and should we sign a big name? What position would that be? Me, personally, I'm a little iffy about our receiver room because we have Jacoby Myers as a receiver 1. And you put Jacoby Myers on any other 31 NFL teams, and he will not be a receiver 1. Let me know what you think.
Shout out to EJ. Appreciate the call. Area of concern, I have my answer to you, but what I will say is I think Jacoby Myers would be a wide receiver 1 on probably a 4th of the NFL teams in the league. It's not a high total, but I do think there are a few teams that he would immediately be the best receiver on their team, but it's not many. I don't disagree with you there. That's just semantics. We'll see how the rookies do. If they don't play as well as we're hoping or as well as training camp reports are saying, then wide receiver could be an issue, although our number 1 is Brock Bowers, so that's kind of a way around that. I will say a position that we're sneaky not talking about as much on the field, but we are off the field, is D-tackle. Adam Butler, 5.5 sacks the last 2 years. He's decent. And we'll see what happens with Tyree or these rookies like Tonka or JJ. And I know they're talking a lot about Jonah Lalau and Lecky Fotu. We all thought it was going to be Christian Wilkins, right, before he got hurt and before all this stuff came out. And now that he's not there, that's a big loss. That's a huge loss. And you don't have that guy to take the pressure off of Max Crosby 100%. Like, we think Malcolm Kuntz is going to be better. And we think Tyree Wilson's going to be better. But who's to say that they're just not going to double, they being the other teams that we play, double Max again every single play, which is really unfortunate, which is why you bring in a Christian Wilkins to solve that Max Crosby double team problem. So I do think defensive tackle, sneaky, not being talked about enough. And I do think for me that could be a potential issue. So thank you EJ, for your call.
Hey, Rodney. James from upstate New York calling in again. Second time now. Last year we nailed the draft, and it looks like we may have done even better this year. Time will tell. However, in my opinion, I think we could have done a lot better this offseason with free agency signings and maybe even a draft or 2. Now, like you, I was all for bringing in Sam Darnold over Geno Smith for several reasons. First, Darnold is only 28, while Geno is 35. Second, Darnold had a breakout season last year, while Geno was, only so-so. although I do realize he played behind a terrible O-line. And lastly, we had to give up a third for Smith, while Darnold would have cost nothing. His contract appears it would have also been cheaper, too. Now, I know there's the Carroll-Smith connection, but I still think Sam would have been a better choice going forward. And we could have used that third-round pick we had for Geno to get DK Metcalf and get ourselves a true wide receiver one. But anyway, I'd just like to know what you think about that situation. Now, also with free agency, there were also several very good players we could have scooped up, especially since we had what I believe was the second most space under the cap at the time. I completely believe in the talent we have at our tackle and center positions, but guard is a question. Now, you had 26-year-old Mekhi Becton, who had a resurgence in Philly, going from tackle to guard, and at 6'8" and about 370 pounds, he's a road grader, and a great upgrade, especially over in Alex Kappa. How about 28-year-old Josh Sweat, also from Philly, to pair up with Mad Max at the edge position? We definitely needed experienced help in the secondary, so why not a 28-year-old cornerback, Carlton Davis from Detroit, or 25-year-old safety Javon Holland? The list goes on. Now, I realize you can't sign everybody, but what about one or two of these guys? So my question is to you: do you think we should have gone after a couple of these players, or would you have picked up, or who would you have picked up, or are you happy that we stayed with the put with the kind of players we did sign? All right, thanks as always, Rodney, and hope to hear your thoughts. Bye now.
Appreciate you, James from upstate New York. Wonderful call, wonderful caller. A lot there, so let's deep dive into it. The Sam Darnold of it all. Now, you claim that I would prefer Sam to Geno. I don't think that's the case. I was absolutely banging the drum for Sam Darnold, but that was before I even knew Geno was an option. I didn't know Geno was an option until I woke up from my nap and we had traded for him. My ranking of what I wanted to do at quarterback was Stafford, Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, rookie / Aiden, whatever. I didn't want Fields. I didn't want Daniel Jones. I didn't want any of these other guys. Zach Wilson was intriguing enough, but, he wasn't a big priority for me. If I knew Geno was in that mix, it would probably be Stafford, Geno, Darnold. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Darnold is younger, and he was cheaper, and he doesn't cost a draft pick. I do think Geno is the better player, and the age isn't as much of a concern. I've stated before what Pete Carroll has repeated. Geno doesn't have a 34-year-old body. He's got like a 29-year-old body because he hasn't played as much as these other guys. And Sam, while I do think he is a good football player, could have benefited a lot from the Justin Jeffersons and Drake. I always do this, not Drake London. Jordan Addisons of the world, and Kevin O'Connell calling the plays. Now, I actually do think Sam Darnold is going to be good in Seattle, and I don't think they're going to win 14 games with J.J. McCarthy like some people think, which is insane. However, I'm okay with going Sam Darnold instead of Geno. It's interesting, though. Geno instead of Sam Darnold. It's interesting, though, that you point out that we could have used that third to get DK instead of getting Geno. So would you rather have Sam and DK or Geno and, these guys that we drafted? Very interesting. As far as the wide receiver concern, I do think that there's a theme with John Spytek here, right? When he came over from Tampa Bay, it was like something crazy, like 46 of the 52-man roster that they created to win that Super Bowl and then to eventually win the division 2 times in a row were either undrafted guys or guys that they had drafted, right? Not a lot of free agents, not a lot of trades. And I do think, yes, we had a lot of money to spend, but there weren't any standout level free agents that I would have gone after. Josh Sweat is interesting, but the Raiders clearly put their eggs into a cheaper Malcolm Kuntz basket. Chris Godwin was the only other guy that would have really got me excited. Other than that, there weren't a lot of options at free agent positions that really excited me. And they use a lot of their money, like I mentioned before, and they're still doing it right now, to re-sign homegrown talent. Max Crosby, they gave Geno an extension. Daniel Carlson, Kolton Miller, they're still going to do not Daniel Carson, AJ Cole. They're still going to do Daniel Carson, and they're still going to do Jacoby Myers. And I think that was a priority for Spytek. And then he trusted his ability to draft good guys. And right now, Darian Porter is the starting corner. Dante Thornton is the starting wide receiver. Josh Sweat would have been nice. And I hear where you're coming from. But from everything that I've heard, the draft next year and the free agent class next year is significantly better than the draft and free agent class of this season. So I think they wanted to just be safe within a Landon Roberts and a Devin White and extend the homegrown guys. And then by the time next year rolls around, we'll be able to make a big splash. So I understand completely where you're coming from. And while I don't disagree, I just think that John Spytek had a different perspective on everything. So I appreciate the call. James from upstate New York.
Yo, Rodney, what's happening? Raider Hicks here in the 209. Just shooting a little feedback your way to state that I feel you've completely underwhelmed when it's come to the Jamal Adams deal. Jamal Adams is 29, which is kind of old for a cornerback, but not really old for a safety. Take some of these aging corners that get moved to safety and play well into their 30s. I'm just thinking of the time when he ruined our season. We were like 6-4, and then Derek Carr threw him a hospital ball to Mr. Renfro and hit him so hard that it broke his rib and I think popped his lung. I'm not sure. However, being only 29 years old, I feel that it's going to be a huge deal for him to be in that secondary, and I will predict him having a big role in that offense and playing a nickel or dime type corner on the slot so he can be in the box to stuff runs too. Dude's a dog. Him being hurt is one thing. Also, side note, when Pete Carroll traded for him with the Seahawks, he traded 2 first-round picks for him. So he's a superstar. That is a huge deal. High risk, low reward. Go Raiders. Let's do this.
Okay. Raider Hicks, appreciate the voicemail. Appreciate you giving me a little guff. I'm okay with people disagreeing with me or saying I underwhelmed with the Jamal Adams of it all. It is low risk, high reward. No doubt about it. When we signed him initially, the reason why to me it was a nothing burger is, of course, yes, he used to be a superstar. That was a long time ago. 3 years is a long time in NFL terms. And he does get hurt a lot, right? And the reason why it didn't do anything for me initially is because we have better safety talent, in my opinion, on the roster with Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Polamau. And to me, if Jamal Adams was starting, either he's starting because, wow, he is back suddenly, or one of the other two safeties is not playing as well as we think. And I think the more likely scenario of those two is that Polamau or Chin isn't as good as we thought, which means that Adams is starting, which would be a problem. The other scenario, while not as likely in my opinion, could happen, which means he's back. But reports out of camp have stated, and this voicemail that you left me was from a week ago, so since then you probably have heard about this. The reports out of camp is that he's playing linebacker. That is fine for me. Turning him into a linebacker, which is something that I did not foresee initially, but in the Discord I did talk about, is huge. That makes our linebacking unit significantly better, not against the run only, but against covering these tight ends. Maybe Jamal Adams can't cover these speedy young wide receivers anymore, but he can hit a tight end. He can find a way to cover Travis Kelce, and that's where I do think the signing really takes off for me. Play him at sub linebacker or that nickel corner, like you said, to play him against the run, but to make sure we have a linebacker that can cover. His safety days are over. But as a linebacker, I don't hate it, and I don't think you hate it either. Last voicemail here. Let's hear it.
Hey, Rodney. This is Nick in New Jersey. Lifelong Raider fan. Love the silver and black, man. Till the day I die. That's my team, brother. I just want to let you know I love your show. One of the few I do watch. Seems pretty funny. You and I are usually spot on, man, as far as the reaction to the news and pretty much the feelings of this roster that we have now and the changes we're making. But I just wanted to comment real quick. The piece you did on Derek Carr, I want to thank you from my heart. Derek's one of my favorite players, even though I'm an old-time Raider. Grew up watching LaMonica as a kid. Derek is still the man, and I just feel really bad by the way he was treated, and I just don't understand all the hate and animosity. Guy's a class act. But anyway, just really happy somebody had the intelligence in the class to do a special on Derek, and I really loved what you did. It was telling the truth for once, and I appreciate it, man. So again, Nick from New Jersey, thanks a lot, brother, and go Raiders.
Go Raiders, Nick from New Jersey. I really appreciate it. Not really a question there, but I do appreciate all the kind words that you said to me. And yeah, look, listen, the Derek Carr thing, it's catching some steam right now. It might get to 10,000 views, which is nice. You know, I've said this, and look, I love watching Rich Eisen, Colin Cowherd, First Things First. Like, those are my three that I watch a lot. Those guys know a little about a lot, right? I know a lot about a little. I can generally talk about the Bills or the 49ers or the Eagles, right? But what I know is the Raiders. I know the Raiders better than Colin or Rich or Nick Wright. Maybe not Nick Wright, he's a cyborg. But I know Las Vegas Raiders, Oakland Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders. And I've seen Derek Carr. I saw every snap he took. And I know what he went through, and I know what his strengths are, and I know what his weaknesses are. So that video, again, I appreciate that a lot of people are taking it and watching it and sharing it. That video was not to convince anybody of anything. I just stated what happened to him. Didn't say he was a good player. Didn't say he was a bad player. And, you know, some people are like, oh, Derek Carr stinks. I can't believe you were saying all this about Derek. I'm not making any opinions. These are facts that I just put in the video. And I do think it just sheds a light on my bigger take overall that QB wins are just not a win-loss stat to me. They're just not. Eli Manning's a two-time Super Bowl champion. He's got a losing record. So make of that what you will. Thank you so much for the people that called. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if you want to call in any time and leave a voicemail, there is that number right there, 725-253-0264. If you want to become a $5 patron and potentially call in live, you can do that as well. Speaking of my patrons, shout out to all of them. Carlos Raider 81 was the last to join along with John. Can somebody give me a new member? Join that. Link is in the description below. Join that Discord. Hit that like button, comment away, and please be sure to subscribe. It's free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.